Hello, fellow patriots, and welcome back to your podcast, Red Rights and You. Well, I'd planned on recording an entirely different message today, but unfortunately, here we are. It's a sad day. There was an assassination attempt on President Trump, and unfortunately, it's no surprise. The communist left has done nothing but falsely persecute, prosecute, disparage, vilify, and now attempt to kill him. Now that they have their plan in place with a way forward, they will do anything and everything to keep their political stranglehold on these great United States of America. And as we know, this man is no stranger to the presidency. As fellow patriots remember, but the evil left has so conveniently forgotten, just a few short years ago, during the first 3 years of his leadership before the pandemic ravaged everyone's lives, this country enjoyed peace and prosperity like never before. And he loved this country so much that he did it for free, and he will do it again. He doesn't need the job. He wasn't even going to run. But the communist administration, who is turning this nation into a godless, perverse land, forced his hand. His reward? Being called an evil dictator, compared to Adolf Hitler, being called the Antichrist, and then being dragged through the mud and portrayed as the worst human being who has ever existed. As a result of rigged trials and verdicts, they are portraying him as a convicted felon, which was the political aim the whole entire time, and we all know that. All of this because in their book, his behavior is not politically correct. President Trump does not fit their desired profile, and they just don't approve of his demeanor and the way he talks at times. You know, in my opinion, they might as well pull the trigger. You know, and maybe they did. After witnessing the shooting, I immediately turned to others in the room and commented that the gunman is definitely dead. There's no way they were going to let him live to talk. Dead men tell no tales. This is a classic pot calling the kettle black situation. And on top of that, the crooked left, they're the world's biggest pot ever. I'll be the first to admit that no government party is without their blemishes. However, the evil and criminal practices that have occurred and are still taking place under the current perverse, progressive Communist Party are next level. They make the mafia look like Girl Scouts. They are the faces of true organized crime. They are evil personified. Now, I'm recording this on the following day of the assassination attempt, and already there are many on social media justifying the shooter's actions and saying that's nothing compared to what could happen if Trump becomes president. They continue to regurgitate the company line, even in the face of a tragic event, which they are inadvertently responsible for and maybe directly responsible for, but for which they will never hold themselves accountable. But we all know that's their MO. It's no surprise. Now, the movement to put Trump back into office has enjoyed an incredible amount of momentum. Despite those phony polls, I believe he's been well out in front and dominant since the debate, which of course would explain the desperate measures taken by the communist left. I've seen Trump signs everywhere, way more than even before his first win, with no Biden signs in sight. And after that cowardly attempt to take his life, wounded and bloody, he stood tall, pumped his fist several times, and yelled, "Fight, fight, fight." In the middle of this chaos, he still was more concerned in leading the people and his cause than his own well-being. Compare this to the mindless puppet walking aimlessly around a stage, mouth agape, at a loss for words. Who is truly a leader? Who would you want to lead you into battle? And what about the others who could replace Biden, like Kamala Harris or Gavin Newsom? Do you really think any of these soft, commie pussies on the left have the toughness and qualities that are required to lead this country? None of them could face the adversity and injustices heaped upon President Trump. They would crumble. Could you imagine if they were grazed by a bullet during an attempt on their life? I could just see them crumbling to the ground, bunching themselves into a fetal position and crying tears while complaining about how unfair it was. Support for President Trump is now swelling and becoming overwhelming after his show of bravery. Still, after all of this, unfortunately, none of it may matter. A crooked card shark continues to win money up until he is caught cheating. The same can be said about election interference. And before I go any further, any of you who don't believe an election can be rigged by a controlling party, after observing the blatant twisting and altering of laws and procedures during President Trump's trials, well, I have some swampland in the Sahara Desert I would love to sell you. Folks, they did it before, and they will definitely do it again. We need to have conservative monitors at each and every polling location to monitor activity before, during, and after the election this November. All mail-in absentee ballots need to be verified by both parties to determine their validity. Unless we can do these things, we are at the mercy of the crooked communist left's cheating and illegally winning yet another hand. I will be the first to volunteer. Catching them with their hands in the cookie jar is the only way to completely ensure a fair and balanced outcome. Now, I will end this rant with a message in the style used by the puppet currently in place as the communist figurehead, also known as President Biden. Guess what? Your masters are finally being exposed for the evil dictators and criminals who you so brashly accuse President Trump of being. The true God, who many in your evil empire have denied, protected him once again, and against all odds, our true leader stands tall and will continue to fight, fight, fight to restore the freedoms and prosperity that this proud nation had under his previous leadership and deserves again. Folks, pray for our country, pray for President Trump, and please pray for those innocent supporters who were killed and wounded for nothing more than being present to support their candidate. Thank you all for your kind attention. Please join me next time for our next episode of Red Writes in You. God bless you all, and God bless America.